Greetings, Moonlight citizens. This is your man on the moon coming to you to bring you the Moonlight Kingdom podcast reviews. And in this episode, we shall be reviewing the 2021 Mark Wahlberg starring Antoine Fuqua directing sci-fi movie adaptation Infinite. This is the second Mark Wahlberg Antoine Fuqua collaboration. The first one was the movie Shooter, and that was alright. It's definitely got some rewatchability to it. But this one is a different game. So first one, see, while that first one was a action thriller about a lone man fighting against corrupt people who were trying to frame him for murder, this is about a man who is a reincarnated, who was part of, well, a group of reincarnated peoples who seeking to stop the world from being killed off by a bunch of bad guys. And see, that's a very different beast in and of itself. But hey, that's not what you're here for. I'm going to get into that much later on. The book is based on the movie is based on a book called The Reincarnationist Papers. But yeah, I'll dive further into that. Anyway, this is your intro for the Moonlight Kingdom Reviews episode. Who knows what episode this is of Infinite? Here, blast off in 3, 2, 1. Before we really get into this, let's give you some background. Alright. D. Eric Merkrans, the guy who self-published the Reincarnationist Papers back in 2009. Yeah, so that book stayed a book until some executive at a Hollywood production company found the book in a Nepalese hotel. And, then they started work on it. In March of 2017, there were plans to make it into a movie. They reported that Paramount Pictures bought the rights to Shore and Stein's adaptation of the book, which was described as Wanted meets Matrix. In reality, okay, I'm gonna get into all that later. They're right on that one, and there's more to follow on that front. But yeah, Wanted meets Matrix. And there were talks even as far back then that, Chris Evans might be there to star, and they'd even started talks with Antoine Fuqua about directing the movie way back then. Yeah, this movie was in the works way back when, in like 2017, 18. Yeah, in 2019, he actually entered negotiations, and that's when they confirmed Fuqua as the director. The same month, John Lee Hancock worked on rewrites, and in June of that year, he dropped out of the project due to scheduling conflicts, and that's when Mark Wahlberg began notifications to replace him, and he wasn't confirmed until August. So dude drops out in June, and negotiations begin with Wahlberg, and they don't end until August. What could you all have possibly been talking about for 2 months? Seriously, man. Anyway, after that, in September of that month, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Johannes Hakur Johannesson, I hope that's right, Rupert Friend, Jason Mantzoukas, and Tom Hughes were all cast by November. Production beginning in September 2019. Scenes were being shot in Cardiff, Farnborough Airport, indoor ski facility called Snow Center, and a bunch of places in 2019. Also movie was shot throughout Nepal, New York, Scotland, Cambodia, and the Swiss Alps. Harry Gregson Williams, known for movies like what's that movie? The Ghost in the Darkness. Yeah, he did the score for this movies, and he worked with him on previous films. Yeah, the soundtrack was released on La La Land Records and Paramount Music. Um, Originally, the movie was scheduled for theatrical release on August 7th, 2020, but was delayed to May 28th, 2021 due to the COVID-19 pandemic. It was delayed again in September 24th of 2021 when Quiet Place Part 2, remember that movie, was moved to the May slot, and now May 6th, Paramount canceled the theatrical release and instead released it via Paramount Plus. Yeah, it was one of the first movies to release solely on Paramount Plus. No theatrical release for you, Infinite. Just straight to streaming. Yeah. The film was released on Blu-ray and DVD on May 17 of 2022. That's right, a movie that came out in June 10 of 2021 on streaming was moved to DVDs in May 17 of 2022, almost a year later. Oof. Oh well, that's for those who weren't subscribed to Paramount Plus and weren't whatever. There you have it, folks. The background. The movie was inspired by a book called The Reincarnationist Papers that has been around that was written back in 2009 and has just sort of just been sitting there until one day, a junior executive came across it in a Nepalese hotel and was like, yeah. Also, let's be honest. The Reincarnationist Papers is a more interesting name than Infinite, much like how Live, Die, Repeat is a more interesting name than Edge of Tomorrow. Okay? Okay. That was your background. Now let's get into the actual film. Okay, Mark Wahlberg's Infinite. A 6 out of 10 right off the bat, man. 6 out of 10 Infinites. Because with a script like this, I mean, the very concept behind this movie and all the talent at work here, there's possibilities were, pardon the pun, infinite. And it didn't really, there's so much you could have done here. So a definite 6 out of 10. And here's why. So, okay, the movie says Macaulay's schizophrenia is actually memories from his past lives, and the bad guys want to catch him to find out what he knows so they can find the egg with the power to wipe out all life on Earth. The main villain, Broadhurst, has a female. Okay, before I get into that, the bad guys are chasing this dude who has memories of a MacGuffin that the bad guys are looking for. What does that sound like to you? Oh, for all you video gamers out there, you know what I'm talking about. That sounds just like the premise for freaking Assassin's Creed, dude. No wonder this damn thing's been sitting on a shelf somewhere. They didn't realize, wait a minute, we don't need to make a story that's like Assassin's Creed. We have Assassin's Creed, man. We already have Assassin's Creed. That's why that movie was able to happen before this one. Probably because A, that source material, more often than not, more likely than not, is more well known and came before this one. And this is a copy. Why would we make a copy of Assassin's Creed? We have actual Assassin's Creed. But I digress. Moving on. So yeah, the movie has like the magic MacGuffin that people are searching for that only the good guy knows of in his memories, but he doesn't have access to those memories, so the bad guys want to get him, then, find out what's going on. But there's this group that wants to get him that's straight up assassin and Templar shit. Anyway, moving on. Yeah, the main villain Broadhurst has a female accomplice. The protagonist has a female accomplice happening throughout the movie. You know what that means? Cat fights! You just know these two characters are there so we can have two chicks fighting each other at some point in the movie. And it ends with them rolling around on the ground somewhere. I'm like, this is the most 2000s movie. This movie was made in like 2019. Yet it feels like it was made in, I don't know, 2009 or something. When was this? What the hell? Whatever. I mean, it's based on a book written in 2009. But weirdly, the movie doesn't follow the events of the book. So, okay, they didn't adapt the Reincarnationist Papers. They adapted a screenplay, which was an adaptation. So, it's an adaptation of an adaptation. So, of course, it's not 100%. It's a copy of a copy. A copy of a copy does not come out quite as sharp. Anyway, moving on. A whole lot of shit happens, so I'm not really gonna dive that much into the movie. The heroes get Macaulay, and he goes along with them. There's this moment where they're in an airplane hangar and they're discussing like, "Hey man, do you wanna, potentially you wanna come with us and see hear us out properly, or you wanna stay here and like live the life you was living? Because dude's life isn't that good. It's kind of shit. He's got okay. The movie says the character has schizophrenia. The character's name is Macaulay, and they say his schizophrenia is actually memories from his past lives. And the bad guys want to catch him and find out what he knows, so they can find an egg with power to wipe out all life on Earth. The bad guys are nihilists, and they want to end all life on Earth so that they can finally die, because they are immortals too. Okay, they're immortals too, and they don't want to keep returning from the dead because the one guy explains that when he returns from the dead, his memories don't come back to him in puberty. His memories come back to him while he's still in the womb. Like, that's gotta suck. I can understand why that would suck for you. Okay, but then there's also this weapon that the bad guys have. When they shoot the good guys, they hit them with this right in the head, and it stops their soul from being able to reincarnate. It like traps them in this like little bullet that they have. And they keep all these people that they've captured in this big wall of like names and everything that they have locked up in there to stop them from reincarnating. My question is this: if they don't want to be alive no more, they don't want to reincarnate no more, why don't they just turn that crap on themselves? Why you got to take the whole world with you? You have a magic bullet that takes out immortals. Just, I'm not advocating for suicide. I'm just saying, in this film, you have a solution right there. Use it. Why don't you use it? What the hell's wrong with you? All that to one side. Yeah, but yeah. Chiwetel Ejiofor is the villain. It just goes all in on this role. He's all in on this fucking. It's just like ranting and raving to the point of like. I mean, it makes sense. The guy is a religious fanatic, and he goes on about like God has to show him his face, like show him, he has to see God's face, and like he has to, when he dies, he wants to, I guess he wants to die so he can see God, prove that he wants to see that there actually is a God, there is a heaven and all that for sure. I guess that's what he wants. I wasn't 100% paying attention to his motives, but yeah, he's a religiously obsessed. So yeah, Chiwetel Ejiofor. There's a scene where he goes on in this rant and he's talking to this other guy. He's going on this rant and it's like people are walking, talking obituaries on the back of a dying newspaper at the bottom of a bird cage in the corner of a living room of some hoarder cat lady. What the hell, man? What happened to you? What's your problem, dude? And the good guy, he's the person he's interrogating by making him choke down a bunch of honey, just claps back, blah blah blah. And realistically, that is essentially what he's doing. He's just going blah blah blah. At the back of a dying newspaper, at the bottom of a bird cage, in the corner of a living room of an older cat lady. Just going on and on. Just talk and talk and talk. You're not saying anything. Jeez, what the heck is wrong? What's up with you, man? Jeez. It's because you don't want to, keep going. Don't mean you got to wreck it for the rest of us, but whatever. He plays his role pretty well. This is the second movie where Chiwetel Ejiofor is playing a character chasing down people who've lived for a very long time. Only in that first movie he was a good guy, so I guess you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And Chiwetel Ejiofor, in terms of his characters in these kind of movies, has become the main villain. So yeah, it's true what Dan said. He has lived long enough to become the villain. Oof. There's no real noteworthy music in the film, aside from a scene at the third act when Macaulay realizes his powers. I think that's what the movie was going for. Like, the score actually sounds like it belongs in this kind of movie. Aside from the generic action movie music we've been hearing until now, that this song is actually like really good. I don't know what the song is called, but like I'll look at. I think, but once I find out, I'll like link it in the description so to give it a listen. But it's like, or I'll just link the scene, because it fits with the scene. I'll just like link the scene when I get a hold of, if I get a hold of it. But yeah, it's really good. There's this moment where he stands on the wing of the plane, pulls the sword out, and he's like feeling the water rushing past and everything. It's like really cool. It has him standing with this samurai pose, sword out of the water, and he's just perfectly balancing out on the wing of this plane. Sounds ridiculous, but it's actually pretty cool. Too bad it doesn't amount to anything beyond this single cool moment. Cause yeah, he's just bouncing on the plane, he's got the sword, music swelling, there's this cool shot of him there, and then he just gets in the plane and that's it. You'd think this moment of him like sensing something and feeling the water and standing there striking this pose, he would somehow like, I don't know, he's unlocked something about himself that was previously blocked, but like they did that already, and it's just those were his memories, and like his memories were already unlocked. So what was this? What was this moment of him standing on the plane? Was it like, let's just have a cool shot for the sake of a cool shot? Is that what this is? Because it was a cool moment, and it was utterly ruined by it wasn't followed up on in any real way. Just he wields a sword and that's it. Anyway, moving on. There's when he gets on the plane and he's about to destroy the MacGuffin, he gets shot in the head with this weapon, calls it the Deep-throater, and he falls and it's like, oh damn, he's dead. He got hit with the Deep-throater. He's not gonna come back. He's trapped in the thing. But if you were paying attention, you'll remember the fact that earlier in the movie they stated more than once that he has a steel plate in his head. from the car accident. So the bullet hit him, but it hit the steel plate. Whenever they mention that a character has a steel plate in their head, action movie, you just know that character is going to get shot, and then it have no effect because of the steel plate. Hey man, you're still going to bleed. You're still gonna bleed because that steel plate is under the skin and everything. So you hit and it's like, bing, you're still gonna be blood flowing, and it's still gonna hurt. So yeah. But anyway, he could, instead of taking out the bad guy when he's not paying attention, he instead decides to use this advantage to yell at the bad guy and taunt him, and throw back a line that he said earlier in the movie about, like, what, you don't remember at all? I suppose I should be insulted. Like, you're the one who brought up the steel plate. Tell me you don't remember it? I mean, come on. Like, he's like, yeah, that deep throat is not gonna work on me, man. I had an accident and he had a steel plate put in, so he's technically invulnerable to the damn one weapon that could kill the immortals. I'm not kill them, but like technically take them out of the action. But yeah. So there's a final battle in this movie, and this is the point in the movie where it decides it's a superhero movie. It's not just an action movie. The thing is, this movie, up until this final battle, has been essentially just an action movie. Evan McCauley isn't anything special. He's just a well trained guy, like, sure, they say like he's got like centuries of, sword fighting and weapons training and all this stuff in him, and he can speak. There's languages he just knows. Like, he just knows languages. Like, he can't recall learning them anywhere, but he just knows them. But yeah, there's, aside from that, there's not a whole lot. I mean, there's not a whole lot of exceptional stuff. He gets his ass kicked earlier in the movie, but just But yeah, he builds on it later on. This thing is, unlike, they say this movie's a lot like Wanted, but unlike Wanted, there's no scene where Macaulay is just coming in and kicking all the ass. Just, we never get that scene. Thing is, in Spencer Confidential, there were fight scenes where his character would get beat up, but in the end he would kick all the ass. Like, he'd get roughed up a little, but he would kick all the ass. There were never those moments. There was a scene where he was just going. This movie was just the character going from A to B, getting chased by bad guys, and getting beat up along the way. I mean, he gets shot in this movie. He gets shot, and he's like, he's all stitched up, and he's kind of groggy, and you think it's going to affect him somehow, but no, he just continues the rest of the movie like that didn't happen. Like, the character even tells him, like, hey man, if you like stress yourself too much, you won't even, like, you'll pass out before you even make it to the thing. But like, that doesn't happen. The wounds don't matter. Yeah, the wound it happened, and he was bleeding, and he was out of commission, but other than that, nothing. Out of commission for a bit, so that the female that he's accompanying him could go try to take on the bad guy and miss. Also, you missed. You had a headshot lined up, and you missed. Like, you shot the area right next to him. Like, thing is, if a headshot is something you can miss because someone tilted their head one way, just go for a body shot. Like, shoot him right in his heart. He can't shift his heart enough that he can move. I mean, it's a pretty big target. Granted, the head is a bigger target, but still, damn. If you got a bullet to the chest, it would slow him down enough. I mean, jeez, how much saving could have been done if this dude had been slowed down just a little bit? Anyway, that to one side. What else is there in this movie? Yeah, so the final fight between the good guys and the bad guys. The main good guy, the main bad guy, it boils down to them fighting in the plane as it spins out of control. It's like the hallway fight from Inception, crossed with the first act of The Mummy when they're on the plane and they're all rolling around. Remember that hilarious scene where there's no sound, but they're just rolling around? They're like, ah, ah. And it just devolves into the third act of the movie Crank, where the guy's falling out of the sky. It's like the two guys are just falling from the plane with no parachutes. Only like Wahlberg's character gets to the bomb in time and he deactivates it. They fight in mid as they fall. But yeah, that's that. The film ends as it began, with narration from Macaulay about life and how, like, possibility. He even says the title before it cuts to a shot of his teenager sword fighting a bunch of kids in Jakarta. And while the artisan watches on, and it confirms, like, but I skipped something. That scene basically confirms that Mark Wahlberg's character died in this movie. So yeah, he saved the world, but he died in the process. So It's like, damn, is this technically the first time Mark Wahlberg has died on screen? Because I think it might be. I mean, no. It's not the first time it's happened. This is the first time since Fear where Mark Wahlberg has died on screen. Yeah. I think that's it. Because, I mean, he has a tendency to live in these freaking movies where he's the main good guy. So yeah, the fact that he died in this one, it's big because he normally is not the guy who dies. He normally lives. Normally the movie will do its best to convince you that he'll die, but he lives, whether like it or not. You always find some way to save the day and survive without injury. Yeah. It ends with this teenager sword fighting. Artisan watches on, setting up a potential sequel. As Artisan hands the kid the sword, and the kid immediately, like after 10 seconds, remembers, and he's like, "Artisan, what took you so long?" And he's like, "See you again, Dreadway." And "See you soon, Dreadway." And he walks away. I'm like, "What are you walking away for?" Like, he knows who he is right at this moment. Like, go, have him go with you. Just like, what are you waiting for? He has all his memories. He knows who he is. He's got all the skills and everything. What are you possibly waiting for? Damn. Oh, this movie was overall. It's like, I think it's the closest thing we'll ever see to Mark Wahlberg in a superhero role. Because this character, it's the closest you can get to a superhero movie without just straight up playing a guy with superpowers. And that was, Paramount really swung for the fences with this one. They wanted a home run, and best they could manage was third base. Even with the premise whose story potential were, as the film is titled, infinite, this film is, whatever. It's the opposite of that. It's quite limited in its approach and execution. The world-killing egg, Infinity Stone equals Infinity Stone / Apple of Eden. It's the same thing. The infinites are the same thing as the ancestors of the assassin. And, the bad guys, they're trying to take over and end the world. I mean, that's just Thanos. I mean, come on. This movie is a hodgepodge of ideas that were come up by other people, and you mash them together to make something wholly that initially seems like a totally original concept, but upon further inspection is totally unoriginal. Anyway, 6 out of 10 infinites is what I give this movie. That has been it. This has been Moonlight Kingdom Reviews. I have been your man on the moon, ladies and gentlemen. As always, I ain't got much to say beyond that. This has been another Mark Wahlberg movie that was good, but it could have been better. Yeah.
I'm alone, I'm alright. It's so cold outside. I'm alone, I'm alright. It's so cold outside. I'm alone. It's so cold outside. I'm alone. It's so cold. Break down, always feel like I could break now, but I never let it take me to that place now. I won't ever let my thoughts get away now. I got better things to do, picking fate now. I just wanna be the best, call me great now. I don't know if I'm okay or insane now. I remember better days on the playground, hoping I can find my way even when I'm feeling down. I fight, even when I don't know what is right. I'ma pick a side, and I'ma take pride. I will decide my fate, and I will never let them tell me who I am. If you try to shake me, I'll be damned. Planet on the ground is where I stand. Never give up, that was always the plan. It's so cold outside.